Hello, this evening we're in Ahamore, and I don't know if anybody's seen my introductory video or not, but I mentioned in it how important the adjoining villages are to Ballyhaunis. Villages like Ahamore, Turin, Granlahan, Clonfad, Banlob, Bracklon, Gortigani, and so on. And they're an integral part of any town in any area. And in fact, I'm with Michael Linsky this evening here, and Mike and myself went to the community school back in the 70s, or yeah, 70s, I think it was. I don't know if we've come any further since then or not, but anyway, I suppose start off by saying, Michael, if you had a young fellow watching this evening that's in Ballyhaunis Community School, had you any inkling, we'll say, at 17 or 18 when you're doing the leaving, that you're going to end up like this?
Okay, well, welcome, Martin, and it was to Ahamore.
Thank you.
Linmore Enterprises. I suppose I had, yes, I always wanted to be self-employed. Okay. That was it. I looked at, probably, people like my uncle Austin Grogan, seeing him as a businessman, self-employed. I always wanted to be self-employed. I didn't know what I would be self-employed at, whether it would be, some kind of gardening business, whether it would be something to do in the construction business, But I always liked in wood, as I said, when you mentioned the community school, Hugh Rudden was our woodwork teacher. And, he influenced me a lot as well, and that's one of the things that I think that, when you're going to school, teachers and can influence you, and I think Hugh had a nice way of teaching woodwork, and that definitely did sow the seed for, the interest in wood. I'll always remember one particular thing was I wasn't the best in the school, the best in the class at woodwork. I always felt I was very average, even sometimes even below average. There was other lads that, always could do the joints that bit better than me.
And maybe easier.
Yes, it is, so it never came easy to me, But I remember one particular time, Hugh used to every now and then give, back then probably it was £1, I don't know, rather than €1, for
sure it wasn't a shilling.
It would be that as well, but it was, he used to give, as I said, £1 or something, for the best joint,
okay,
that would be
was
made.
that a snorting one? Or?
No, it was all well above board, so it was, But, and I remember, him picking out my, joint once as being the best, and I really did feel, hold on, maybe I am good at this, and so, when I left school then, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do, as I said, get involved in some part of the building industry. I still didn't know whether I would, go down the cabinet making route or not, but I first went working with Frains here in Coonahay, Nicholas and Lawrence,
Okay.
they were into the building, so they were.
Yeah.
And but then, it was coming up towards the winter time, and it's not nice being out, in winter time in the buildings. So I then had heard about Sloines in Reesk, and so I went there and met Michael. Michael, as I said, passed away there just this year, And so Michael gave me, the job, and I said I started out doing my apprenticeship there, but that I, doing my apprenticeship, I always, it was always get the knowledge and get out and get self-employed.
Okay.
That
And what
was it.
stage did you take the jump? What age were you when you took the jump, or how did that come about?
Yeah, so I spent, as I said, 3 years in Slough, and during that time then there was Anco as well.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
And well, it actually had changed then. I think it wasn't Anco. I think I think it was still Anco. Yes, but you used to go away then for 3 months in the year to learn the more finer side of the trade, you know. And I went. It was down in Cork, where I went, and you know, that's where, you know, we learned about the different parts and the background of woodwork, you know. And again, I'll always remember, I never liked history going to school.
Okay.
You know, it was one of the subjects I really didn't like.
Same as
But
that.
you know, but when we were doing the cabinet making in Cork, you know, we started to learn history through woodwork.
Yeah.
You know, and all of a sudden woodwork now became history was very interesting.
It made sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and you know, so I was down there for as I said, 4 months, and then I came back to Slough again, and I'd actually left Slough then before I had got my cabinet making papers,
Okay.
you know, senior trade papers. And I remember the guy coming out, you know, to me who wanted me to go back to Slough and finish my apprenticeship, you know, because I hadn't finished, you know. And I said to him, look, I want to be self-employed. That's what I want to do. I want to. And one of the things he said to me, he said, you know, do you ever wonder why people who have degrees and who are highly educated don't always become self-employed? And I said, no. He said, because they know all the pitfalls, you know.
Yes.
And,
Excellent, yeah.
you know, so as I said, I went back then to Cork again. He then said, well, look, finish your apprenticeship. You can finish down in Cork. So I did. I went back to Cork again, did another 4 months down there. And came back then and decided that I bought this, it was called a universal woodworking machine.
Okay.
You know, which could cut shape wood, you know, it was an all-in-one machine, you know.
The bee's knees.
This is it. And, you know, so we'd no place to put the machine, though. I had, you know, I bought the machine, and so I looked at the old...
The back kitchen was no good for it
The
at all.
back kitchen definitely wasn't. But we had the old barn where the cows used to be. Okay. So the cows were moved out and the machine was moved in. Okay. And that's where it all started. We started, I said, that was down in my home place in Turin. And started making windows and doors, first of all.
In the cow house?
In the cow house, yeah. And I'll always remember, you know, it was that small that when, you know, we'd be cutting long pieces of timber. So
you have to open the door.
Yeah. So one fella would be outside and the other fella. And and the first the first person, the lad that actually started working with me just on a part-time basis was Noel Greeley from Turin. Noel worked with me for, as I said, just a couple of months. But the first apprentice then would have been Brian Duffy here from Ahamore. Yeah, yeah. And so Brian was with me for, you know, a good few years. And Brian's two uncles, Tom Caulfield and Jimmy Duffy, they were involved in the community council here in Ahamore, and there was nobody here. They had no use for the hall. Okay. So they approached me and they asked me, would I be interested in, you know, renting out the hall?
So, of course, this hall was no good either because the devil didn't appear in this hall
this
like the one in Turin.
This is it, yeah. This is it, yeah. Yeah. And So again, they were like fair play to them that time. Like, you know,
Weren't they thinking ahead though, really? You know?
they were, yeah, they were. And, you know, that they wanted, you know, they seen that, you know, I was there, as I said, running my own small little business. I needed a premises because, you know, the cows wanted to come back in again for the winter
again.
yeah. And you know, it was just, you know, it just wasn't suitable. So in 1987 we moved here, so we did. And I'll always remember coming here, you know, the size of it, you know, 'cause we were used to such a small place, you know. Yeah, so we got the, I said, machines moved up, and we had to get the three-phase electricity as well in, yeah, so we started here, you
That
know.
was fairly quick progress because we done it even in 81, and like 6 years later you were literally in business.
Yes,
You know,
yeah,
considering you had to get your apprenticeship and everything over in between,
Yes.
it was fairly quick action. I suppose combination of getting half set up while you're getting qualified, really, wasn't it?
well, this is it, and I suppose I was very lucky as well when, you know, when I was down in Cork. I made very good friends with a lad from Dublin who was doing the same thing, you know, and he wanted to become self-employed as well, and so we were discussing different things, you know, and all that. So, but yeah, as I said, and again, I suppose that's what I wanted, you know, to become self-employed. The one thing I didn't say is I wanted to make money, and I suppose, you know, for me, it was going from, you know, like from an apprenticeship wages, which was low at the time, and I always said, well, look at, I can make that much anyways, you know.
Yeah. At worst case, I'll make that much.
Yeah. So, you know, I wasn't really taking a huge financial risk at that stage anyways, you know.
It couldn't get any worse.
No. And again, as I said, you know, I remember, you know, when I was buying this universal woodworking machine, having to get a loan, and, you know, that was the first experience of, you know, being in debt, you know. But as I said,
I feel you probably got very familiar with this as time went on.
this is it. This is it. And you know, it was like in 1987, you know, the mid 1980s, things weren't too bad. You know, I remember, you know, when I moved up here, there was a lot of, it was you know, the guys around my own age, they were building houses, so they were, you know, and they were wanting kitchens and all that, you know. So most of our customers that time were in their mid to late 20s, you know, so like for the first few years, it was, you know, we were getting by. Like, I mean, we certainly weren't making huge money, but like we were doing enough to, as I said, gradually, you know, put money aside to buy better machines
and keep the bills paid.
Yes, yeah. But that then I remember then, like, I mean, in the, you know, the late 1980s, the early 1990s, you know, that's when things were very, very bad.
Okay.
You know, and I remember, you know, most of the lads our age and girls, you know, they immigrated, especially anyone to do in the building, you know. And but you know, I stuck it out, so I did. And I remember one time, you know, again, we had every Friday evening I would go off and I'd go looking for a new house.
Okay.
Driving around, and I remember, you know, you'd see
a parasite.
Yeah. And I remember, you know, I used to sometimes see a new house, and I drive back and over for a while to try and see, well, you know, is there a kitchen in it or not? You know, and try and pick up the courage to go in and to see, you know, well, look at, do you want presses? Do you want kitchens? You know, and that's how I'd try and get enough of work for the rest of the week. So we wouldn't have had enough of work for, you know, a week's work.
You'd be living from day to day.
You would, yeah, you would. So like any job then that would come in, like, we did everything. Like, you know, we did the kitchens, we did the wardrobes, we did, you know, turf boxes were a thing as well.
I remember that, yeah.
Time, you know.
I remember a neighbour of mine when I had one as well.
Yeah. And you know, so it was everything that we did, anything at all that would kind of, you know, pay the wages, you know. And but I remember things then got very bad, and we decided then to open a showroom in Ballyhaunis. So it was out the Clamaris Road. It was, I think, Patsy Glenn's, the photographer's. He had a premises there, and so we just rented a room there off him for. It was just 1 month. You know, just to try and promote
a pop-up shop in today's language.
This is it. You know, and because again, you know, there was no Facebook, there was no, as I said, it was hard to market your product that time, you know. So it was, you know, bringing the product into town and showing it. And that did help us, you know. A lot of people, we say, in the Ballyhaunis area didn't really know about us, you know. And, you know, so as I said, I tried many things just to try and keep afloat that time, you know. You know, we gladly survived that period. And then, as I said, I remember then as well, we were doing a job for a guy just outside Dunmore, and it was a kitchen, and he'd actually a holiday home. And he said, well, look, he said, would you do, I want my kitchen done in Dublin, would you do a kitchen in Dublin for us? And we did, and from that one kitchen in Dublin, we then started getting a lot of kitchens in Dublin, you know. So we were then, as I said, maybe once every 6 to 8 weeks we'd be, you know, doing a kitchen in Dublin, but then along came the boom, and the, you know, and we found then that we were probably doing more work for people in Dublin, but it was holiday homes in Achill and Westport and all that, you know. So we stopped then doing the work in Dublin, you know. And there were, you know, there was a few years there that were very, very good, you know, and we had you know, up to 10 people working here, you know. And again, we you know, we employed, as I said, always tried to employ local people, like Damien Nyland. He was he came as an apprentice.
He'd be the original of the species, wouldn't he?
He would, yeah. And like, I mean, he came as an apprentice, and, you know, was an excellent fisher, and, you know, one of the best fishers. And he was he was with me for, again, I don't know how many years, but well over 20 years. And, you know, Damien as said, left here about 4 years ago now. And then we also have another local lad then as well, Kieran Leonard. You know, he came as well as an apprentice, and Kieran is still with me today. So he's, you know, you know, so, but we had up to 10 people working here during the boom, you know. And then along came the crash with every, you know, and that's the one thing.
That hit everybody, too,
yes.
You know. Very few people escaped that.
This is it. And, but it hit us very, very bad. And I said, it hit everybody very bad, like it hit people in different ways, you know. But the building industry, I said, I think was hit very, very badly, you know. And, you know, one of the things as well that we started doing, you know, during the boom, we started doing sliding wardrobes. There was nobody doing them at the time, you know, outside Dublin. And we had that product, I felt perfected great. So we had, you know, and it was a product whereby we could get it manufactured quite quickly, and there wasn't a big outlay of money and all that. So I always felt that would be the product that would carry us through the recession. And it did help us quite a lot because, again, when the recession came, people weren't doing kitchens, but they wanted to do something in their house. You know,
Something small, maybe.
something small. So they probably did the do the bedroom and that. So it did help us, but that, you know, the one thing about the recession is, you know, and it's the one thing about, we say, in Ireland, you know, recessions normally, you know, they come, we say, and they last maybe for 2-3 years, and then, you know, you gradually get a boom, things getting good again, and things go back down again, and that's the cycle of business, you know. But this recession lasted so long, you know, 10 years, and like, it wasn't a case whereby it was, you know, it seemed to be getting worse and worse every year.
There's no light at the end of the tunnel at all, no.
No.
But is it not a case that would say at times like that, that it's important to actually keep going?
But that, you know, as I said, all these things, you know, they do come to an end, you know, and you have to keep telling yourself that.
And when you look back then, you wonder what was all the fuss about.
This is it. This is it. Yeah. But that, because like we went from, as I said, you know, employing 10 people back down to just employing 2 people, you know, and even then, you know, they were on short time as well, so they were, you know. But one of the things I suppose I learned from that was that you know, if you're dependent on in the west of Ireland, it's a very, very small market.
Before you expand that now, I just want to introduce where you're going, I think, because one of the things I talked about all along was diversification, and that, you know, the old saying of survival of the strongest isn't necessarily correct. It's the man who's willing to diversify and change with the times and alter his thinking and alter his ways. I think that's where you're going now, really, isn't it? And that's...
Yeah, this is it. And so, like, you know, when hardships come, you know, you can actually say, well, look, I'm awful unlucky that this has happened to me, you know, or you can look at it and say, right, what can I learn from this? You know, and because, you know, one of the things that I think in Ireland is that we're very much afraid to fail.
Yes.
You know, and we don't like to be, you know, we all like to be successful and all that, and that's
be seen to be successful.
Yes, yeah. But that, you know, failure is, now I only believe that you'll ever fail when you say yourself you failed.
Yeah.
You know, somebody else telling you is not that. You know, if somebody tells you you failed, well, that can sometimes make you get up and you know, prove them wrong. You know, so you never fail until you give up yourself. But like we say, when we started to come back out of the recession, one of the things that, you know, I seen was that, look at during the recession, we depended on a very small area, you know, to sell our product. It was all within, we say, a 50-mile radius, you know, and like there is just the population is not there, you know, to sustain.
Numbers game,
yeah. So we looked at, right, you know, going forward, if we were to you know, survive and it was to build the business back up again, what changes did I have to make? So we first of all looked at to see, could we get some product that nobody else is out there, you know, and also then, could we be selling our product maybe somewhere else other than the west of Ireland, you know? So we looked at, right, could we sell it maybe in All Ireland? And so our business now is made up, at the moment, it's divided into 3 categories, right? We have what we call the west of Ireland business. That is where we sell kitchens, wardrobes in you know, the Connacht region. We then have a product called Hidden Bed, and we sell that in all Ireland. And then we have we sell then kitchens into London. So we do. Now the way I suppose, first of all, talk about the the selling the kitchens into London, how that came about. There is there's a local guy, Joe Gavin, who he's also happens to be a relation of my own as well, and he's in the same business.
Okay.
It's just that he always did his business in London.
Okay.
So Joe was home. He comes home quite regular to Ballyhaunis, he does. And he was home 1 year, and he came up, and we were talking, and he said, well, Michael, he said, would you be ever interested maybe in doing kitchens, you know, in London? And I said, well, yeah. And I thought, you know, it was pie in the sky,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So Joe then asked me to price this kitchen, and I did. And, you know, so at the time, you know, Joe was paying us to make the kitchen and all that. And so we did a few, and it worked out okay. And so then, you know, we seen that, right, how we could progress this a bit more. And so then Joe was happier for me to kind of run the business end of it, and that he would kind of take care of the customers and the fishing of it and all that in London. So so you know, and again, two local fellas, you know, who, as I said, rather than, because I remember when Joe came back, everybody thought, well, he's going to go into business now, and the two of them will be in opposition to each other, you know. But that wasn't the case, you know. Like, I mean, we work together, so we do, you know, and it has worked out very well. And so that part of our business now is growing very steadily.
Just to clarify, you produce the stuff here, do you?
We produce, yeah. So what we do
out?
is, it's so we make it all here. So we do, and so it's all assembled and everything, shipped out, and then it's fitted in the houses over there. So it is. And it's all.
Sorry, no, but is it one kitchen at a time, or do you have an order for a group of them? Or?
No, it would be one kitchen at a time. Okay. So we work with there's one particular builder we do a lot of work with, and we do also work with interior designers and architects over there. Oh. So they're mostly the higher end kitchens. So they are, and you know, so we are competing with the higher end, but that, you know, it's great that we say a small little business here in, you know, the west of Ireland can actually get into, you know, such a huge market like London. Now that business again, as I said, it's going very well. But next thing then, you know, Brexit came along. Yeah. And
another worry.
So that was, and like, you know, the whole thing during Brexit, then we thought that you know, our business would be it wouldn't be there anymore. So but again, we looked at the challenges, we seen what we would have to do. So it was a huge headache, definitely, you know, and so we had to. There's a lot of more paperwork, so there is, you know. But you know, we got great advice from, you know, the local enterprise board, who advised, who got consultants, you know, working with us, advising us, and all that. And so we're still, as I said, Brexit now. We're working, as I said, you know, post Brexit. And you know, we're doing very well. Like, I mean, we actually purchased a new van there just this year, because that was one of the problems we had as well, is getting the stuff over. We say pre-Brexit, there was lots of vans going back and over, but then when the Brexit came, it was very difficult to get the transport. And like, we have to, it's not a case where we can put it on pallets and send it over that way. It has to be, you know, all going into one van, going over to Pacific Place. So so we've now purchased our own van, and you know, we send our own van over. So excellent. We do. And so that part of the business, as I said, is doing very well at the moment. It's actually 50% of our turnover now is
Wow.
selling into London. So
Wow.
it is, you know.
That's diversification at its best. Yeah.
It is, yeah, it is, it is, and you know, and it's lovely work as well, you know, because we're doing, as I said, high-end kitchens. You know, all the drawers are all solid dovetail drawers. You know, all the appliances are all very high-end. So it's you know, it's a part of the business that I love, because you know, you're always dealing with, you know, some new challenges. You know, so that part of the business, I said, is going very well. Then the other part of the business then is the hidden bed. There about 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago.
Just for the sake of the video, this is Exhibit A.
Yes.
This is one of them. We've a number of them here in the room, but
Yeah.
And as you talk about it, you can actually demonstrate if you like.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I said I'll just demonstrate this one, because this one probably is
We'll do that afterwards.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. Well, the so hidden bed is what it says in the tin. It's you know, there's a bed behind us. It's a hidden bed. But the way it came about is a customer came to me one day and asked me, you know, she wanted to do a bed for a child who, you know, it was kind of like a bunk bed with storage underneath. So I went on Mr. Googling to see could I get any ideas, and I came across this, you know, hidden bed. And I was amazed when I seen it, a video of this, you know, bed that just went into a wall.
Yeah.
You know, and then there was another one then that had a desk and a bed. And I thought, my God, you know.
Because there was a version of it in the old mobile homes one time, that you'd have a bed that you pull out of the wall. But
yes, and they were called the Murphy bed.
Okay.
You know, a great Irish name.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Paddy probably invented it.
This is it, yeah. It was in America, so it was. But I went and I started to research this, and I found out that there was a company in Uruguay who actually manufactured the mechanism for this. And again, you know, the story behind that is he was an engineer who had and he had a few in family, and they went to college, but they all started coming back again.
Okay.
And when they came back, he had no place for them, you know, because it was they'd now turned the bedrooms into, you know, their offices, you know.
Okay.
And he wondered, you know, well, how, you know, he looked at the bed and he thought, that bed takes up an awful lot of room, you know. Is there any way that, you know, I could come up with an idea of having a bed and a desk all in the one? So he came up with the mechanism, and he patented the mechanism, and then he started to he formed the company then called Hidden Bed, and but they just sell the mechanism.
Okay.
And then they give the rights then to different companies around the world. Okay. So when I contacted them, to my surprise, there was nobody in Ireland doing it. Oh. There was a company in England, all right, who was very successfully called StudyBed, but there's nobody in Ireland. Okay. So I asked them. I said, "Look," I said, yeah, and so they were delighted. So they were, and so we started making our first one. Then so we did, and you know, we had a lot of problems because, as I said, while the mechanism, you have to design the furniture and all that around
the mechanism.
Yeah. And you know, there is companies all over the world doing these hidden beds, but like what will work, we say, in America or Japan will not work in Ireland, you know. So about 4 years ago then we had our first one made. So we decided that we would bring it to the Ideal Homes in Dublin, and we did. Now, it was, I remember it was a report from RTE. They were doing a report on the exhibition, and he came up to me. It was Drive Time, from Drive Time, you know, and he said, "This is the best thing I've seen," you know.
Brilliant.
And like, again, everybody was amazed at the way it worked. You know, we used to have, as I said, a glass of water on the desk. You lift the bed up, and the glass of water would not spill. Okay. You know, and everybody was amazed by that. So we were very, very busy. Okay. But again, it was our first exhibition. Okay. You know, and you know, it went on for 3 days, and again, I said, my wife Anne, she was there, I said, helping me out, and both Sharon and Ashleen were as well, and you know, and I think Sean was still in the no, Sean was with us there as well, so he was, you know, but it was. I remember coming home then afterwards, and I thought, God, this went brilliant, you know. But I'd no sales.
Yeah.
You know, and there I was, you know,
having a wonderful product.
Yeah. And just waiting for the phone to ring, you know. And I'll always remember, you know, the first day, you know, nobody rang. Yeah. The second day, nobody rang. The third day, nobody rang. And then it was the fourth day somebody rang and said, "Look, I seen you at the exhibition," you know. And again, that was the mistake that we made. We didn't take contacts and all that, you know. Yeah. But I remember from that we sold something like maybe 4 or 5 of them. Okay. You know, and so it definitely didn't pay for itself, because those exhibitions are quite expensive. But I knew we were onto something. Yep. You know,
you got the recognition you wanted.
Yeah. So we then, as I said, you know, we were still doing, as I said, the bread and butter work, the kitchens and the wardrobes and all that. So we went back then the following year again to the exhibition, and you know, we at that time we just had the one model, but then we brought out a few different models, and we displayed it again, and gradually it started to grow. Now, as I said, we put a huge amount of work into it, and when we started off making it, you know, it all had to be cut out with a hand router. So we then decided, we knew then that if we were to, you know, progress this product, we would have to, you know, upgrade our machines and all that. So we invested then there 3 years ago in a CNC machine, which is a computerized machine, you know, for cutting out the product, and that was a huge, that was, you know, a great move we made, because that meant that, you know, the product now was becoming profitable, because in the beginning there was so much work to it.
Men labor.
Yeah, gradually, as I said, it started to take off. So it would be now, as I said, about 25% now of our 30% of our turnover. So it is, you know, and it's still growing. You know, it's still a product that, it's one product that I get very, very excited about. Okay. Yeah, you know, I love the product. You know, I love doing the exhibitions because I love meeting people, and you know. I remember once, you know, at one exhibition, and this guy, you know, he came to me, and himself and the wife, you know, and they bought a bed, but he came back to me, you know, the next day, and he said, "Michael," he said, "this is you know," he said, the best investment," he said, I've made here, because he said before the exhibition, he said, I was going to put on an extension, you know. So he said that extension, he said, it was going to cost me, you know, maybe 100,000.
Yeah.
And he said, here, you know, for, you know, you know, 2,500, you know, he said, you've saved me that, because he said, you know, now, he said, in the spare room, I have the desk and I have the bed, you know. So so it was great to hear those stories, and also great to have a product that nobody else had at the Ideal Homes, you know, because very often, you know, you can be selling, you know, and you can have a lovely product and just 2 stalls down, there's somebody else selling something very similar, you know. So it was great to have something different.
The other thing a woman said to me one time, she says, only 50% of advertising works if you only knew which 50%.
That's right.
And you could be going to Ideal Homes and it might be the wrong place, so you could be going on the internet, wherever the case may be.
The story of my life is, you know, there's always things will come along that will knock you back, you know. And again, I spoke about the word resilience, you know. So, you know, these things make you stronger, you know. You know, when the COVID-19 came along, I thought that was going to be the end of the hidden beds, you know, because we depended on the Ideal Home shows, and we were just getting ready for the April show, and deposit paid and all that, and it was going to be our biggest stand. We decided that, look, we normally would just take maybe, you know, a 2-meter stand. You know, this time we were taking a 5-meter stand, you know, so it was going to be the biggest stand, and we had it all ready, you know, to go. We were actually launching this product at it. This is the couch bed, you know.
Now, we're going to look at the other one after, but do you want to just show that one while we're here? Because we have the camera set up here now. We can look at the other one afterwards.
Yeah, this is the one that we were working on at the time. So it's you have your couch here, you have your coffee table there. So this was mainly for, we say, the apartments in Dublin. So there were, and but when you want for a bed, you just take these cushions, you put them to one side, and these cushions then they come down, and this is a little door then that opens up, and they just slide in there and close, and these 2 little flaps open up, and then here you have your bed, and the cushions then go back onto the bed. So again, one of the things that, you know, we wanted, we say when we were doing the exhibitions in the beginning, you know, we just had the bare bed, you know. But one of the things that we were trying to do is that, look, it's a very, very comfortable bed. It's a bed that, you know, if somebody was coming to stay, you'd be proud for them to stay in a bed like this, you know.
Even the class, like the headboard nerves, is fabulous. It's incredible.
So so this was the product that we were going to launch at, you know, the Ideal Home show, and next then COVID-19 came along, and so we thought that, look, we're going to have to shelve the product maybe until it was all over, and then we'd go back again. But what we decided then was that, look, we would do up a showroom here in Ahmore and display the product here, and we would then, as I said, relaunch our Facebook page and do a new website. So my daughter Sharon helped me out with the Facebook page, and we started selling it then through Facebook, you know, and we have been actually busier now during the lockdowns and all that than we were when we were doing the exhibitions, because this was really the ideal product for
people working from home. Yeah.
And because we say, when we were selling them, we say pre-COVID, it was mostly to people who, there was 2 categories. One, it was, we say, the Splendid model, which I'll show you later. It's the one that revolves on its side. So that is ideal, we say, for in a child's bedroom, you know. And but both this one and the Majestic, they're ideal as an office. So they are, you know. And so so we were getting a lot of orders from people who were working from home, didn't have, an office, but they had the spare room, but they didn't want to give the, do without the bed. So and like the great thing about it was, and that's the one thing is that, sometimes you can have this pre-idea that, you have to show the product, and I still think, it's important. And
Seeing is believing.
yeah. But that with the way things are at the moment, with videos and, Facebook and all that, you can actually show the
see
product.
it.
And that, so the amount of this product we sell now, with people never seeing it until the day it goes.
But they've seen it in virtual in some
This
shape
is
or
it,
form.
yeah.
Okay.
So, but again, I was delighted then to hear that the Ideal Home Show is going to be back this October. Well, they haven't decided exactly on the day yet, but it is going to be on again this year. So
look, we'll have a look at the others in the video, but I suppose just to wind things up, is there anything in the pipeline? I know this is incredible. This has blown me away here, and we have seen the slide robes and we've seen the kitchens downstairs and everything. We'll try and get those into the video. But is there anything else left in that? That can up there.
Yeah, well, you look at, I suppose our, the stage that we're on at the moment now is we're trying to, as I said, bring the business, modernize the business more. Okay. We're just after putting in a new IT system. We're, as I said, the CNC machine that I talked about, that has all, different software and all that we have to learn and all that. Okay. So what we are trying to do at the moment is, I suppose, bring all that together now, and but our hope is that we say the hidden beds, we're hoping that, to increase the sales in that. So we are like we sell it all over Ireland. Okay. So I said, we say we sell roughly about 3 or 4 a week. So we do. So, and I said we're one day we could be in Cork, another day Dublin, another day Monaghan, Derry, all over, and again, we have all Ireland, including Northern Ireland, to sell the product. And as I said, we're constantly developing it. We're actually looking at it's a new product that we will be bringing out. It's how will I explain it? It's a desk reel for an office. Okay. Where you're working, but then it folds out then to a bigger desk. Okay. So that's one that we're looking at, and we'll probably launch that fairly soon now as well. The kitchens in London then, that has grown rapidly now as well. So it is, and so again we launched a new website again during the lockdown, because we never had the actual kitchens that we do in London on our website. Okay. So again, we got professional photographs taken of all them, and it's also it's helping us as well that when people in London now will log into our website, they know that we're selling into London. So that's it. As I said, it's onwards and upwards, and face the next challenge, and hopefully, as I said, that we'll continue to grow the business more and more. But again, it's not about just growing the business neither. It's about being content in what you're doing.
And proud of your work.
Yeah. And that the business kind of it brings you along on a journey, and sometimes you don't know where that journey is going to. You know, I know some business people sit down and they have this 5-year, 10-year plan. You know, and I think that's one thing that COVID probably has taught us a little bit. You know, because whoever did the 5-year plan, you know, pre-COVID, well, you know, COVID has taught us, you know, that you know, things will come along that will change that.
I'd quote, there's a film there, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And the three stupid guys, and at the beginning of the film it says they have a plan but they haven't a clue. And, but like, it's important to have a plan. When you actually go to apply the plan, that road takes you other places.
Advice for any young person in the community school, you know, what I would be saying is, you know, being self-employed is great. You know, every morning you get up, there is a different challenge, a different reward, a different obstacle, you know, in your way. And it's all about, you know, the way you approach those things, you know, so that if you want, you know, a job that is challenging and will, you know, because it's these challenges that make you the person at the end of the day, you know, so that, you know, I would be saying to any young person out there, go for it, you know, because, you know, you don't know where, as I said, I'll always remember, you know, our last day in the community school, you know, and, you know, it was Mr. Thornton, you know, as I said, saying, you know, go out there and, you know, spread your wings and fly, you know, and that's it, you know, and as I said, if you're doing something that you like, you know, then it's not work. You know?
They say if you like what you're doing, you never have to work a day in your life.
This is it, This is it.
Well, look at Michael. I could genuinely spend days here because it's incredible the work you've done. I've known Michael since I'd say about 1977. I think we met at the community school second year, when the community school opened. Myself and Michael went into second year, and the one thing that has been steady about him since then is hard work. And I always kind of say that about people who are successful in life. It's hard work. You mightn't see their bad days and their good days, but the one thing you'll always see is hard work. He's ticked a lot of boxes here today and in his life of keeping trying to diversify and change and update and upgrade. And I'm sure computerization has been a challenge in your life, the same as all of us. But he's some advice there for any young fellas that are out there. And I hope you found this interesting and useful. And I genuinely, as an old schoolmate, I wish you the very best in the future, Michael.
Thank you very much, Martin. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.